Hello, happy Wednesday. How's everybody feeling today? I hope everyone is doing amazing. It's March. Happy Women's History Month. Yes. It's also Ghana's Independence Day today. Happy Independence Day to Ghana. In case you didn't know, I am from Ghana. Uh, my parents, my whole family is of Ghanaian descent. I shouldn't even say Ghanaian descent. They all from Ghana, born, raised, all the things. So shout out to Ghana today. Um, yeah, so we are getting into all things about navigating corporate dress codes today, which is a very cool and prevalent topic. So if you're joining live, definitely pop in the comments and say a hello. If you happen to catch on the replay, drop in the comments and say replay, or even to send me a DM. Let me know that you caught the live and let me know what your takeaways were, or if you even have any questions following up on what we chatted about. And also, quick caveat, sometimes when I am streaming through StreamYard, and that's the service that I use to broadcast this live on LinkedIn and YouTube, I can't always see all the comments in the chat. Just don't know what that's about, but sometimes I cannot. So if I don't shout you out or say your name and you up in there commenting, let me say sorry now. I am so sorry. If I don't call you out, it is just technology. It is not personal. Okay? Hugs and kisses. All right. So let's get into it in this conversation about corporate dress code. So first off the bat, I'm curious, and if you are catching this live, or if you come on in, drop in the comments and let me know, does your company have a dress code? Does your company have a dress code? Do they have guidelines around what you should or should not be wearing? Now, it's very, very common for most companies to have some kind of dress code. And typically that's something that's shared during orientation, right? It's on the HR website, you know, it's like one of those just standard things. Maybe it's touched on briefly, right? But it's one of those things like sometimes it's almost, I think, an assumption that everybody understands what professional dress is and what that looks like, and what's appropriate and what is not. Um, and so it's like, we don't really need to talk about it unless something bad happens, unless an incident arises. And then all of a sudden we might need to address our guidelines and our dress codes, et cetera. Good morning, Anika. So I find that is often the case there for folks who don't give a little bit more attention to walking through these things. And I think the space that corporate dress codes and company dress codes can often come up are a few. One is definitely when there are new hires, right? So when you are new to a company, maybe there are interns coming into your company if you are in an HR or talent role, or if you are an employee and you are starting at a new company. you know that's the space where you are first getting introduced to the company's culture, what everyone else at the company is doing in terms of their attire, and just their overall feel, right? The overall company culture, the way that people work, kind of the ethos and the values associated with the company. Because it's one thing for it to be on a website, it's a totally different thing to be living in it day to day when you go to work, right? So as you get to understand more about a company's culture, you then start to see where and how they address corporate dress, professional attire, etc. at work. And it's very common for a lot of folks who are starting out, especially in their first job. I've had quite a few conversations with women, especially women of color, who are just starting out in their first job. and they've just recently graduated, or in some cases they've graduated from grad school, and this might be their first full-time position, and they're wondering, what do I wear? What is okay to wear? Um, and it's interesting because there are a couple of different, I think, like thoughts that come into mind when you're thinking about the company dress code. What is it? What does it mean? How to navigate it, right? Um, I think one of the biggest things that comes into consideration here is different generations, right? So, I'm a 40 something year old woman, and like I remember seeing my mom go to work, right? She was a manager at an insurance company, and I remember seeing her go to work. And she loved feminine styles, so she would always wear like maxi dresses and nice blouses. Sometimes she might wear a jacket or blazer, but she wasn't a suit kind of gal. But I distinctly remember her getting dressed, going to work, occasionally, bring your daughter to work days, seeing her peers, dressed, and then of course, then when it was time for me to enter into the workplace, I I knew already that the standard was suits, right? Like if you want to be seen and feel professional, you wear a suit. And in particular, let's break it down because it ain't just any suit. You wear a suit in navy, in gray, black. Those are pretty much gray, right? Those are the standards. And if you wear that, you're pretty much going to be great. Everyone's going to think you're professional. You're going to fit in. Okay. So that's something that I saw as kind of my rule book and playbook. And probably there, and if you're like, yep, same, drop a same in the chat. That was pretty much the standard when it came to company dress codes. When you saw, in the training manual, or HR came in and said, okay, during our orientation, we're going to just take, a few moments now to talk about dress. And they would have a description there. They would say suits, you know, you would sometimes have, if you had any pictures or images, it would definitely be people wearing, gray suits, maybe a pencil skirt and a white shirt, a nude pump, a flat, right? But it would definitely focus on those elements. And it would also focus on things like quality, cleanliness, no holes and rips and tears, right? Like hopefully getting down to some of the details of things. Again, things that you might think are just like well known, but you never know where people are coming from and what experiences they've had prior to entering your specific company, right? And so it's better to be more detailed and provide this kind of information than not. And then you have issues because you didn't give enough detail and clarity. Hey, a pro tip for my friends who are in HR and talent watching this, okay? It's better to over communicate about dress code, and that will save you potential problems and issues later. So, that is definitely a standard that, at this pace in life and me entering into the workplace, like, gosh, 20 years ago, was that what it is? Let me do the math. 2004 I graduated. Yep, 20 years ago. Right? Having my first job, my first big girl job as a management consultant, working at IBM. And yes, ma'am, I was like, about to get these suits from Macy's. Okay, let's go. Let's do this thing. Right? And you just knew you were professional. You were adhering to the corporate dress codes. You were going to fit in. People were going to take you seriously. Right? Because that's what you desire. So right now, there's definitely been a shift in company dress codes and that line of thought. And it hasn't done a 180 where we're just completely on the other side, because there are many good ingredients to some of those elements that I was sharing. But what's happening more so is that, one, there's a shift in the age of our workforce, right? We are getting younger and younger. Okay, so you have more millennials and more Gen Z folks entering the workforce. And I definitely feel like I was on the cusp. For all my folks who are like in their early 40s, like, let's claim that we introduced, like, tipping the scale of the formal and traditional corporate dress code. At least that's what I'm gonna say I did. Okay, and introducing something different. Um, and that really, I think, at the core of it comes down to just wanting to bring more of your authentic self to the workplace, and showing more of your personality in the workplace, and feeling like having the agency to just be free to be more of yourself at work. And that's a really big deal and a big notion, especially for women of color, especially for Black women, and just understanding all of the different cultural norms and different expectations, put on you by peers, some put on by yourself and by your community, around how you show up and what's appropriate and what is going to be considered as acceptable, to allow you to fit in and be perceived as someone who is professional and should be taken seriously and knows their stuff. Because at the end of the day, that's a big piece of the core of how we want others to perceive us. You want others to perceive that, yes, you are a professional, that, yes, you have the business acumen or the knowledge and expertise in your field. Like, you want to have that be an impression that people have of you, and they will, and they can. So as you're seeing probably some of these changes and shifts in the corporate dress code, one of those big elements is that change in age in the workplace and the workforce, right? And as the workforce has gotten younger with millennials and Gen Zs coming in, there's definitely been a disconnect between the younger workforce and some of our baby boomer workforce. So, like I was telling you about my mom, and and I'm sure so many of you, you seeing your parents, and even if you go to work and seeing some of your older peers who may or may not be in manager or upper management or senior level leadership positions. If they are, it's definitely something to note in how the company culture relates and works as it pertains to how people show up, because people take cues from their leadership, right? They definitely see how their leadership are entering into the workplace, and they want to begin to emulate what that person is doing, because they see that as the standard. Like, that's the gold standard. If they've gotten to that position and they're commanding that level of respect and leading these teams and earning this good salary, okay, they're like, well, that's the goal. That's what I need to emulate in order to get there as well, right? And so this is just all like, if what I'm saying you're like, yup, 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 right? Definitely let me know in the comments, because I'm just breaking down like common thought processes around how we perceive how we show up in the corporate space and what the approved dress codes and professional attire are in the workplace. So, so like I was saying, like, we're seeing the a shift has happened. And one of those elements causing the shift is the workforce getting younger, and and millennials and Gen Z folks coming to work and saying, I ain't trying to wear that blazer. I'm not trying to wear this suit every day. Like, what? I don't even like Ann Taylor. Whatever it might be. There's just a growing desire to see some different elements of dress and some different elements of what could be acceptable for a company culture. So this definitely ranges, right? This definitely has variations to it, because another element that often we have to give some thought to in thinking about corporate dress codes is the industry, right? So depending on the industry that you're in, there are definitely different standards around what the dress code may or may not be. And, if you are in industries as like the law industry, right? If you are an attorney, if you work in the finance industry, there is definitely, a corporate dress code around that suit. Like that suit ain't going nowhere, and it don't need to go anywhere, because I love a great suit. Like a suit is a power piece all day every day. The structure of it, um just the element of wearing a jacket and a layer to a piece, it's definitely like giving you like Hero Cape vibes, like I'm about to put this on and smash things out, right? And so we love that. We love how clothes can make you feel and can shift your energy. And if wearing a blazer and a suit helps you tap into your power boss move energy all day, every day. And I think that's what happens for a lot of people. So go with it, rock with it. The thing to think about, though, is how are you making it unique to yourself? How are you making it your own? How are you incorporating yourself so that when you are wearing that suit or that blazer, there's something about you that's also there? And it's not just you emulating a standard and just like being part of the status quo and just thinking, I need to just fit in, right? Hey, Portia. So that's a question that I pose to you. If you are definitely, especially if you are in some of those industries, like you're an attorney or you work in finance, right? And you're like, listen, Nana, and I have many clients that are attorneys, and they're like, I love the colors you're wearing, but I can't wear those colors at work. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And the first thing that I always encourage is, we want to help you dress in the best way and style for you, not for me, but for you, right? So what's going to allow that to come out? And I think when you start to think about that, that allows you to understand how you really want to get clear on what your personal style is. Clarity is always step number one. Because when you have clarity about what your personal style is, that allows you to figure out, how do you bring a little more of your authenticity, a little bit more of your personality into your dress, while still feeling professional, still feeling like a boss, still feeling more than anything confident and comfortable. Okay? Like that's really, honestly, I'm about to give you the 3 C's of what professionalism really comes down to. It's being confident, it's being comfortable, it's being competent. Ooh, write it down. Okay? Being confident, being comfortable, and being competent. Like, that is really at the core of what is going to help you feel professional in terms of your overall image, like how you walk into a space, your brand, your presence, all of those different elements, not just how you dress, because it is a holistic situation here. Okay? So as you are thinking about corporate dress codes and how you might be navigating the balance of, how do I fit in and feel like, yes, I am on the same page as my peers and as the folks in my industry. Also, I am setting myself apart by making my brand have a visual impact, right? And being cohesive and being consistent and how I'm presenting myself every day. because I know that that is a really important calling card for me. So that might include just simple shifts, that might include simple shifts of the different colors that you might be wearing with your blazer, right? Like maybe you want to get into some soft purples or some soft pinks, like maybe you are all about incorporating some great jewelry. So every time you've got a suit, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do the suit because I'm an attorney and I'm walking into this courtroom, and this is the vibe and this is the energy that I want to communicate. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to put some twists on it. And you're always going to have some statement earring or statement necklace, or some statement eyewear, something else that adds a little bit of intrigue and lets me stand out from my peers. Okay. Yep. Okay. Right. Them 3 C's. It just sometimes when it comes, it comes. But that's a big piece. Okay. So I hope this is helpful in helping you like understand like where you might already be thinking about corporate dress codes and being like, yeah, the dress code is the dress code, right? Like this is what it is. This is how I have to show up. Cool. Also, how do you make it your own? Right? How are you making it your own? How are you bringing a piece of authenticity to the table? How are you showcasing a little bit more of your personality? How are you being distinct? How are you going to be memorable? That's what it comes down to. Because making impressions, the first impression, the second, the third, like people want to consistently see something in you. They want to consistently see how you show up. And having consistency in your style is definitely another way to contribute to that overall sense of having a really strong professional image. Okay. Listen, Portia talking about companies still have dress codes in 2024. Yes, they do. Do you know? And I think it's especially it's especially a thing, like I was saying, in different industries, right? So like some traditional industries like banking, finance, law firms, people have dress codes. And if they're not talking about a dress code, they might say dress guidelines. And I think it is something that if you are at a company, it's a good thing to have some kind of guidance around what you are inviting people to see and be when it comes to their professional dress or when it comes to your company culture. Like you should have something written up in that manual. You should have something written on that HR page, okay? And I think a lot of times it's funny because I think for some people, people understand, a lot of people, whether you're starting your first job or it's your fifth job, you understand the basics of like, yes, this is professional attire. In my closet, I've got my black suit, my navy suit, the navy pants, my flats. Like I've got all the basics. I go to work. No one is going to complain about how I'm dressed, right? For most people. But there are some people who, again, are starting their first job. And sometimes it's up in that younger workforce, okay? Like it's some of my Gen Z folks where I'm like, oh, okay, sis, listen, them shorts, they too short, okay? Them shorts in the workplace, too short. That skirt, oh snap, okay. You bent down to pick up something. And I said, wait, hold on. I'm seeing too much. Okay. So it is really important to provide some guidance because sometimes you gonna have them outliers. You're gonna have those outliers who love to just like start to push the boundaries of like, well, this is acceptable. And it's like, now that skirt is too short. Now that blouse is a little too sheer. Okay. Because if I can start to see if I can see your boobs, a problem. Okay. And again, these are things that you want to include, I'm really talking a lot to my HR and talent folks right now too. These are some of the things that do come up, right? These are some of the things that do come up sometimes when we are talking about people, and when it comes to different guidelines. And for, like I said, for most of us, this is not something that we think about, but these are situations that happen. I've had conversations with folks who are HR managers, and they have expressed how different situations like this come up. They've expressed around situations involving hygiene, situations just especially in hygiene, of quality of cleanliness in clothing for some employees. And really it gets down to some potentially uncomfortable conversations that managers have to have with employees about what the guidelines are around what you wear to work. And it might not be as rigid as a code, and I think if anything, that language around like a dress code can be very alarming for people and can feel very rigid, and so introducing guidelines, guidance, is another great way to just make a simple language change, but gives folks the understanding that we understand that corporate dress is shifting. That yes, it is 2024. We've had an entire pandemic and things have shifted. And I'm going to talk about what some of those shifts have been even more in a minute. Yeah, exactly. We want to include some guidelines for people who might not understand. And and yes, HR should hire me to develop guidelines that they can include in onboarding. Love that. Yeah, it's sometimes not something that is covered, but it is something that people always talk about. I was literally just yesterday, I was having a conversation with my neighbor, and she's a speech pathologist, and she just started a new position at a school, and she was talking with one of our other neighbors who's an attorney. And sometimes they're looking at their clothes and they're like, well, can I wear this, and is this okay? Do I have to wear a blazer? But I really love to wear dresses. Is this okay? People still have a lot of questions about what is okay and what is not. And that's where having some kind of guidance or guidelines for your company can be very, very helpful for people. Okay. And really, what happens typically for those people who are wondering, like, what is okay and what isn't, they just err on the side of caution, and they're like, I'm gonna just wear these black pants because I am already maxed out with my mental capacity about all the things I have to think about to do my job. And now I'm giving so much thought and attention to just what I even have to wear to do the job. It's too much. I don't have time for all that. So I'm just going to keep it basic, right? This is common, right? This is a common thing, especially for women. All right. You have to give so much thought around, well, what are the guidelines? And is this okay? And yes, is, being conscious of your body and your shape and feeling like, oh, is this going to show too much? Is my booty going to be out? My hips, my breasts, all the things that we have to think about as women and give thought to, so that ultimately at the end of the day, we feel confident and comfortable and competent to do our jobs. Because what matters less is what everyone else thinks, and what matters more is how what you think and how you feel. Because if you feel uncomfortable, it is going to show every single time. Okay, let me get on my soapbox for a second. Get on my soapbox. But that's a really important thing to ask yourself, is like, do I feel comfortable? And I will have clients, and these women, accountants, attorneys, doctors, and they will ask me, is this okay to wear to work? Is this okay? I'm like, I don't know, is it? I'm always gonna put it back on you. I'm like, oh, is it? Is it okay to wear? because you already know the answer. You already know the answer, but sometimes we're looking for that approval, right? You're looking for that approval, like, is it okay or isn't it okay? And how great would it be if your company, your organization actually had some information on their website that spoke to some of the different ways that you could show up with your dress in the workplace? I'm just saying. It can help alleviate a lot of questions and a lot of things. Okay. And do what? Allow people to focus on doing what they do best, doing their job, bringing the value. Okay. So if your company is not providing this in their dress codes or their dress guidelines, that's okay. You have to know it within yourself, and you have to release the pressure and release this. It's a pressure cooker. You have to release the pressure to feel like you have to fit in. So you have to follow every single guideline or every single dress code down to the letter. You gotta release that. You have to release that, because it's just putting too much of a mental strain on you. And sometimes it's putting so much of a strain on you that you're not able to show up in a way that actually helps you feel more confident to do your job. So let that go. Let it go. All right. Slowly begin to, and it might not just be a full chuck it all over the fence. Okay. It might not be just like that. I've let it go, Nana. But make it incremental. Okay. Like, do the things that you need to do to start to think, okay, man, I do think that I have to wear pants all the time so that I am taken more seriously and feel more like I have more masculine energy in the workplace. But really, I love me skirts and dresses, and that's what I really want to wear. Sis, wear your skirts and dresses. It's okay. Wear the skirt and dress. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Start wearing more of that every day. Because at the end of the day, people feel your confidence and they respect your competence and they respect your conviction. I could go with the C's all day. Okay. Like, the conviction is really at the core of it, because that's confidence on a trillion, is when you're like, oh, I'm so clear in my brand. I'm so clear in my value. I'm so clear in my style that, yeah, I see your dress code and I get it and I hear you and that's cool. And I'm always going to be professional, because that's really what you're trying to get after here. But I'm always going to be professional because I am professional. That's my identity. Like, I am a professional all day through and through. Like, I bring value, right? I'm competent. I know my stuff, right? Like, I know how to work well with others. I know how to lead teams. Like, boom, 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 boom. Run it down. Run down the resume, girl. Run it down. Okay. So this is really more up to you to really reclaim some power in how you're showing up and make some decisions there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna come down on my soapbox. But that's it though, that's it. Like, and it's a really important thing to add value to the bottom line, right? Because these are the things that, you know, again, speaking to folks who are in HR and in talent, like, these are the things that add to your bottom line. Like, these are some of the things your employees are thinking about, to the directors, the VPs, the presidents. These are the things your employees are thinking about. And for you to be able to recognize that this is something that's thought of and actively do something about it could be a really big win for you. So if you are, let's kind of go back here. We kind of been talking about, navigating this corporate dress code space, what's acceptable, what's not, what do I do? There's been shifts in the workforce, getting younger. So there's definitely more of a push of inclusion, of being authentic and showing up more authentically. That's an area and space of self-discovery for you to get clear on what you want your personal style to be in work. And I encourage you to create a mood board for yourself. And that mood board can be work specific. Okay. That mood board can be work specific, so that you can start to put some images out there for yourself of what you want your work wear attire to look like. And that's a really great way for you to understand what the company dress code or guidelines might be, and then Figure out what you want to do with that, how you want to align yourself with that, and how you might want to do something different, because it's more so definitely about you and the trajectory of your career. Okay. So another, let's talk tangibly here about, or I should say tactically, about dress codes. And people love the rules and just tell me what's acceptable and tell me what's not, right? And like I said, bottom line is most of y'all already know. Trust your gut. It's not a rocket science situation here, okay? You want to focus on one, great fit. Okay. When you're talking about, this is for anything, this isn't just going into the corporate space. All right. So if you're looking at your clothes, make sure that they fit well. Like, you don't want anything being too tight, period, when you're wearing it. It's uncomfortable. And sometimes it can look unflattering to the body, to your body, when you have things on that are too tight. Okay. And a lot of times, just wearing things that are too tight is just really your reluctance to go up in a size, because maybe you're not comfortable with the size that you're at, because you may have gained weight, your body has shifted and changed, and you need to just get the pieces that fit your body well as it is now. So that could be just letting go of those pieces that are too tight for you so that you could get pieces that have a really great fit. And again, this isn't isolated. We're talking about, wearing what you wear to work and in the corporate space, but this is just unilateral. All right. Fit is huge. So try on those blazers, try on those pants, try on those skirts. All right. Walk in them, sit down in them. Okay. Sis, if when you sitting down in that pencil skirt and you like, woo, my thighs are rubbing together too much, let it go. Okay. If you're struggling to zip it up, let it go. All right. If the pants are too snug, let it go. All right. So be open to really getting clothes and wearing pieces that fit you well. All right. And honestly, right now, when it comes to fit, clothes that are, there's definitely been, an increased movement over the past few years for like oversized pieces. And I think in the workplace in particular, one place where like oversized, could work really well for you is when it comes to blazers, right? Doing a great oversized blazer and then doing a more fitted bodysuit, underneath, is a great way for you to be sharp, be well put together, and wear something where the fit is on point. Okay. And also keeps your style, modern. Okay. Not necessarily trendy, but modern. So doing an oversized blazer is a great example of when, in the fit department, everything doesn't have to be so closely fitted. Allow your arms to have some room in the blazer. Okay. Like, allow your legs and the thighs to have room in your pant or your skirt. All right. So really focus on getting that fit right. All right. That's the thighs be rubbing together. Listen. Okay. That's a big one. That's a really, really, really big one. Next, when you're thinking about pieces like, okay, I see these corporate dress codes, I'm seeing all these things. Outside of fit, you want to know quality. Like, you want to show up in the wearing pieces of the best quality possible. All right. So as things start to fade, colors fade over time. Sometimes a lot of colors fade over time, depending on the quality, depending on how long you've worn it, depending on how you're washing it, all these things. So again, if something was a great punchy black, but now it's looking more like a dusty gray, sis, it's not a good quality piece anymore. If the sweater is pilling all over the place, it's time to upgrade some of these pieces. Okay. So quality is a big one. And these are things that you will see in company dress codes. You will see these pieces. Sometimes, like I say, in company dress codes, sometimes you will have the detail of like, giving examples of what kinds of clothing pieces to wear. So whether that's like blazer, trousers, pencil skirt, collared shirt, those are common things. But then also, like, these are the elements and the habits and what you need and what you're getting dressed to like be on point consistently, right? And that's great fit and great quality pieces. So materials, colors, no holes, okay? Like why you got a hole in your sleeve? You're raising your arm and it's like, oh snap, you just got a hole. Like, listen, that don't be haphazard with things and just be like, well, ain't nobody gonna see that hole. I'm just keep my arm down the whole time. Just get it repaired, like needle and thread, do it yourself. If you're not going to do that, and especially if it's something that fits well and it's good quality, but like it maybe just had a hole in it, get it fixed. Okay, take it to drop it off with your next dry cleaning. $5, they'll be able to sew that bad boy up. Okay, like, or if it's really just gone, you need to let it go. Okay, so be like, do a fit check, do a quality check, go through your pieces and really look like, is this fitting well, and is the quality the best, right? Those are like two simple things that you could do and that you should do for your work attire all the time. Listen, Dusty, I'm just saying, I seen it, I'm just telling what I seen. And if you feel like called out because you like, you all up in my closet, sorry. It just happens, and you got to check in, and you just got to let some of these pieces go. Okay. So another big thing that's happened, so I'm just give those two tips there. But another big space that's happened with a shift in corporate dress codes over time has been the shift from formal to more casual. Right? Huge, 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 huge shift in this department. And this is coming out of the pandemic, right? 2020 to 2021, even into 2022, we're all working from home, right? Like more and more remote work is happening. And now, just this year, and even just starting even last year, I would say more people are starting to return to the office more often. And so now you're returning to the office, and company dress codes have shifted. Companies understand that, yeah, before we were doing suits and heels, and we were like, we must be in business professional all the time. So, suit, blazer, pant, blazer, skirt, heels, all the time, right? Now people are like, you can get out my face with that. I ain't trying to wear that 5 days a week. No, I'm not even trying to be in this office 5 days a week. So the landscape has changed, and people desire more comfort and more casual nature. They desire more casual elements in their dress. So knowing that, again, for companies, you want to make this change. Like, you want to put it down in paper. You want to just lay it down in your guidelines so that people understand this is the guidance. Great, things have shifted. And a lot of companies have done that. They've sent office memos, they've sent emails, etc., and saying that we are no longer going to be doing business professional. We're going to be shifting to business casual, right? And so for a lot of people, straightforward, they're like, awesome, I know what that means. If I wear a blazer all the time for business professional, now business casual, I'm not wearing my blazer anymore. Or, you know what? I'm going to substitute my pants for jeans. The skirt substituted for jeans. Those are two very simple ways to go from a business professional attire dress code to a business casual dress code. Okay? Remove the jacket or add denim. Very simple. And that's pretty much at the bulk of 98% of people's company dress codes. That's pretty much what it boils down to. All right. And then in the shoe department, yes, you can wear flats. Right. Yes, you can wear flats and sneakers. Like that's pretty much what you're gonna get. And so knowing that that's at base, and if you do that, you're good, right? But understanding too that this casual element can also creep into, let's talk about my outliers. Some of the folks who are like, oh, we casual. Okay. I'm fitting to wear my beach wear. Like, I'm about to be resort wear here at the office. You like, hold on. You know, there are always going to be some folks who you're like, okay, wait a minute. You can be casual, but like, don't get too casual with it. Like, you might be wearing something that is really for you going to brunch, that is for that vacation, that is for, you know, hitting going to Mexico, like that. Save that for that. It's okay, but just add another layer on under there because it's sheer. Our cape, okay, you know. Um, Oh, is it, okay. So thanks, Portia. So Dr. Michelle was saying that navy and gray had the people in a chokehold before the pandemic. Oh, listen, all the way chokehold. Dr. Michelle, I can't see your comments. So sorry. Thanks, Portia, for putting that down. Sonia's asking, are sneakers the new acceptable flat? For sure. Absolutely. Like, sneaker game is all over the place. People are the Nike Dunks, like it's Dunk Mania. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sneakers are definitely an acceptable flat. And this just really comes down to you being clear about your style. Like, people, like, especially for women that were like, okay, ballet flats is cool, but like, I don't want no ballet flats anymore. Like, I want to wear something else, right? So you had some women doing some slides, some women coming in with some sneakers, and all of a sudden that became like a calling card, right? There's a sister on LinkedIn. Oh, I can't remember her name right now, but she works, I think, at Bank of America, and she always wears sneakers for her speaking engagements, right? And in fact, on LinkedIn, there's, I think, a hashtag of like something with sneakers where people are just going to work and showing like the cool sneakers that they're wearing in the workplace, So there are so many dope shifts happening with dress codes and dress guidelines in the casual space that's getting away from just the status quo. And I think that's the big takeaway here. Like, there were so many status quo things of what business professional is and what business casual is, that now other elements are being introduced. Okay. Yes, Kamala Harris wore some sneakers as well with the suit. Um, and and yeah, it's just like these small things you can introduce that all of a sudden can easily become part of your signature style, can easily become a calling card. And then it's so funny because others will look at you and be like, so that's okay? So we could do that? And you're like, I mean, yeah, why not? Like, me wearing sneakers with my suit doesn't take away from my ability to bring value to my client. I'm gonna still crush it, but like, my feet, my feet ain't fitting to put on these Louboutins. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna put on these Chucks, and I'm gonna be comfortable on this stage. I'm gonna be comfortable moving around this conference. I'm gonna be comfortable, and I think that's the big thing that's coming across for women and for so many folks. But I'm always talking to the ladies. For so many women, especially coming out of the pandemic, is like, comfort is prevailing. We want to be comfortable. And before, people were, it was amazing to me how much you would sacrifice being comfortable simply because you wanted to fit in and look professional with what you were wearing. So you would be on a struggle bus with some heels because you're like, well, I cannot be seen wearing flats. Sneakers? 20 years ago, you crazy. And not unless it was a casual Friday. And even then, people probably wouldn't do it. So, like, that's the shift that's happening. There's a big cultural shift here happening around what professionalism looks like, what's acceptable to wear in the workplace, and people just wanting to be more comfortable and bring more of themselves and add some more authenticity into how they show up at work. You know, people tired of this duplicity. I'm tired of when I'm at work, I got to be this kind of robot. But then when Friday comes and the weekend, then I can unplug and be free to be myself. Ain't no got time for that dual dichotomy. Like you fitting to get 80% of me 80% of the time. Now, there's going to be other elements of me that you're just not going to get when I'm working with you because you don't need to. You don't need to get everybody everything. All right. Everybody doesn't need to have all the parts of your authenticity, all the parts of who you are at work and on the weekend. You gotta do some energy management there. All right. So understand that element. But this is your invitation now, and knowing that the landscape is shifting. So, what does that look like for you? What does business casual look like for you? How are you introducing more comfort into your wardrobe and still feeling confident in your dress? You know, what does that look like for you? So, like, that's the invitation that's happening now. All right. Yeah, comfort is a huge thing. I tell one all the time, like, listen, a low block heel can change your life. You could be running marathons in that sucker. Okay? Like you don't have to do a stiletto heel all the time. You know, we love the height it gives, and it does elevate your posture when you walk in heels. That's just something that naturally happens, you know, especially when you're wearing heels and a height that you can comfortably walk in. Caveat, because if you can't walk in them suckers, it don't matter what you put on, it's just gonna be clunky, okay, and uncomfortable. And so you should steer away. But you can introduce all kinds of different shoes to your clothing. Okay, so whether that's a sneaker, whether that's a boot, a chunky block heel, whether that's an Oxford, whether that's a slipper, like whether it's a slide, you know, you can introduce different kinds of shoes and still have your style be on point. Okay. Listen, if you are watching this and you're like, okay, I think we need to revisit our company dress code or our dress guidelines, I would definitely encourage you to check my LinkedIn profile page and book a discovery call with me. You can even just send me a DM. If you watch this right now, send me a DM and let me know that you'd be interested in having me either come and lead a workshop or talk about how I can help you adjust your company guidelines, because that is something that I do so that it can be more reflective of these shifts that are happening in the workplace, and so that your employees can be super clear on how they can show up. You know, so having things like company mood boards, even giving employees recommendations or even potential suggestions on different places that they can shop. That's huge. Okay, like that's the type of thing you want to see. And also giving them imagery, letting them see the dope the dope CEO or VP who's rocking the sneakers with the suit, you know, letting them see an example of another, you know, director of operations, you know, who's wearing a great maxi skirt and a sweater, and you're like, this is professional, and this is part of our company culture as well. People need representation. They need to see examples of how other people are doing things, especially people who look like them, seeing other women, seeing women wearing natural hair, seeing full-figured women and how they're dressing in the workplace. They need these examples to let them know, like, oh, okay. So when you really talk about the company culture and how we can show up, it's not just all, you're not just blowing smoke. You're not just blowing smoke. You're not just using the cute buzzwords like bring your authentic self to wearing. You're not just saying like, yes, we have a casual workplace, when really in actuality, you dinging people because you're like, oh, no, no, no. They wearing too many jeans and sneakers. You're like, but you said it was casual. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be clear. You want to have representation. You want to provide guidance that people can understand and easily apply. And you want to make it simple for your employees. You want to make it simple for folks. All right. The more simple it is and the more clear it is, the less issues, the less challenges, and the more happy people you have working for you, period. All right. All right, y'all. I'm so glad y'all tuned in to this live. If you have questions, like I said, if you are in HR, drop me a DM. And then also, too, if you do have questions for yourself around what is or is not acceptable to wear in the workplace, definitely drop me a DM. We can hop on a style discovery call and we can talk about how I can specifically help you craft your signature style, understand how you want to show up at work, and add some pieces into your wardrobe that are going to allow you to what? Be confident, be comfortable, and be competent to slay this thing. Okay? Okay. All right, y'all. Have a fabulous rest of the day, and I will see you next Wednesday. Peace.